So what if a building wasn't just, a box to keep the rain out? What if it was designed from the ground up to not just house people, but to actively heal the planet? Let's dive into this, because we're about to explore a pretty radical vision for the future of where, and really, how we're all going to live. What you're looking at here is a project called One Lake Drive. But honestly, it's way more than just a building. It's a whole concept called a sanctuary suburb, and the source material behind this frames it as nothing less than a new blueprint for human survival.
And that's really the heart of the whole thing. The central question this project is asking is this: what if a building could actually function like a living creature? What if it could breathe, regulate its own temperature, and maybe even produce more energy than it uses up?
To even begin to answer that, we have to see this as more than just architecture. The thinking behind it describes a complete philosophy for living, a whole new social contract that's been designed for what it calls the age of consequences.
And this is the key metaphor, the Thermodynamic Cathedral. What's so cool about this name is how it mashes together two worlds that seem totally separate. Thermodynamic, that's all about the laws of physics and energy. And cathedral, well, that points to a place of spirit, of higher purpose. The whole idea is to build a machine that's also sacred.
So why on earth build something this ambitious? To get that, we have to zoom out and understand the worldview that's driving the design. This isn't just about being green in the usual sense. It's about trying to realign our entire civilization with the basic laws of the universe.
At its core, the philosophy here sees reality as this epic cosmic battle. And I don't mean good versus evil in some storybook sense, but a struggle between two very real mathematical forces that govern everything from galaxies all the way down to societies.
And this slide lays out that conflict perfectly. Over on the left, you've got what the source calls the devil regime. This is entropy, the universal law that everything tends to break down and fall into chaos. And the key thing here is that the harm it causes grows parabolically. Think of it like a credit card debt that just gets worse, faster and faster. But then, on the right, you have the grace regime. This is syntropy, the opposite force, the drive of life to create order and complexity. And its healing is exponential. The best way to picture it, think of a single seed growing into a massive forest.
So when you boil it all down, the mission is simple. If your whole civilization is running on that devil regime, you're headed for a crash. The only way to survive, according to this philosophy, is to switch your entire operating system to the grace regime, to make absolutely sure that your rate of healing is always faster than your rate of harm. And they actually write this out as an equation. The project's master algorithm is called the God equation, dH/dt greater than 0. Now, I know it looks a little complex, but it's actually a beautifully simple rule. It just means that the rate of change of harmony, that's the dH, over the change in time, dt, it has to always be positive. In plain English, any system, whether it's a person or a planet, has to always be healing more than it's hurting. Period. And this isn't just some abstract math exercise. The whole project is framed as an interfaith climate sanctuary. It pulls wisdom from ancient spiritual texts and merges it with modern physics. It actually sees equations and scripture as, and I'm quoting here, twin rivers feeding one ocean of truth.
Okay, so that's the philosophical software, right? The big ideas. Now let's look at the physical hardware. How do you actually build a machine that runs on the God equation?
The answer starts with the shape itself. It's not a box, it's not a tower, it's a heliotropic amphitheater. Now, heliotropic, that literally just means sun following. The entire building is this giant C shape, terraced and wide open to the south, designed to just passively soak up as much solar energy as it can, exactly like a plant turning towards the sun. The form follows the function, and the function is to welcome in life-giving energy.
And the ambition here is, well, it's massive. This quote from the source material really just captures the global scale of the vision. They're trying to get the crazy efficiency of Singapore, the spiritual and aesthetic soul of Kyoto, and the strong community bonds of Vienna, and fuse all that together in one place. So, let's actually go inside this thing. If the building is like a body, what are its organs? How does this living machine actually work to generate all that grace we were talking about earlier? Well, it starts right at the bottom. The foundation isn't just a solid slab of concrete. It's what they call a cenote core. It's a huge hollow ring that taps into the aquifer below. This thing acts like a massive thermal battery, using the Earth's super stable 55-degree temperature to passively heat and cool the entire building.
And it's also a giant sponge designed to absorb floodwater and protect the whole community.
Now this next part, this is just brilliant. Down in that foundation, there's a micro data center. Now normally all that heat from the servers is just waste, it's pure entropy. But here, the zero-entropy loop captures it. That hot water then gets pumped through the building to provide heating for the homes and, get this, to warm the greenhouses, turning the waste from computation directly into fuel for growing food.
And all of these different systems are totally interconnected. You can see the building uses vascular cooling, basically breathing naturally, just like a termite mound. Its dignified density means 90% of the land can be given back to nature for farming. Then you have its resilience engineering, which turns it into a hardened ark, shielded from things like fires or even EMPs. And finally, its smart chassis means all the utilities can be upgraded forever, which makes the core structure basically immortal.
So let's bring it all back home. We have the thermodynamics, the physics engine that drives regeneration, and we have the cathedral, the higher purpose behind it all. What does that combination actually mean for our future?
At the end of the day, it all comes down to this. Every single piece of this building, from the foundation all the way to the roof, is designed to be one part of a giant machine that physically generates grace, that exponential self-compounding healing. It's an engine that's literally designed to tip the scales from decay back towards abundance.
This final quote really just sums up the entire philosophy. It's like a three-legged stool. The faith, that's the core belief in a regenerative future. The finance, that's the money you need to build a machine. And nature, that's the ultimate operating system that actually does the healing.
And that leaves us with a really provocative final thought. Is this the blueprint for how we can engineer a better future, a kind of heaven on earth? Or does a system this ordered, this optimized, risk becoming a beautiful but restrictive gilded cage? That's a question definitely worth thinking about.